Today we are doing, just as a brief introduction, the same thing we did last week, which was reviewing people's music submissions. So I did an open call music submission on twitter.com. And I said, you know, if you're a composer, a singer, a mixer, a producer, instrumentalist, etc., you can submit your music via a Google form, and I can critique and review and just look at it on stream. And we can talk about it and discuss it and go back and forth because I enjoy it and because it's fun. So that's what we're doing. And yeah, so we have Iku is here, and I know that she submitted something. So I'm going to pull it into Logic and let us, the vegetable, also pull up the form while we're here and go to the responses. And we shall find her. You were probably like around submission 8. Let's see. No, not 8. 7. I was so close. All right. Let's see. Iku. Yes, we know who you are. What is your contribution to this work? Please note that blah 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 blah. Vocal mix. So I think Iku told me ahead of time that this was submitted by her and the mixer, and they wanted me to kind of check the vocal mix. Pretty old stuff when I just started mixing, but I'm still curious about the frequency balancing on this. So yeah, this is Iku singing, and Isekai? I don't know if that's Isekai or Isekai or AI Sekai, 1607. And hey Lunary, are you streaming again right now? Let's see if Lunary is streaming. Hello, Lunary, streaming. Let's see. Gosh. Oh, did Lunary finish streaming? No, we're not gonna get any streamception this week. It looks like. Shame. I'm not gonna embarrass you again. I have a short clip of that Jay made for me of that last week's streamception. I'll post it soon. But yeah, so we have Iku staying. All they said was check the mix. I'm also going to be looking a little bit at Iku's vocals. Checked on people if they're streaming. Yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and just listen to this thing front to back, top to bottom, back to front, and wait, I need to turn my input off so my mic's not feeding into it. So yeah, let's just go ahead and listen to it, and then we'll talk about it. I'll mess with the volume a little bit so it's a good level once I start. All right. Well, that was very good. I mean, this is a case where I haven't heard any of these before, but I have heard this one before because I think I've seen this one on YouTube before. But yeah, very good. Um, Otto's music is probably like some of the hardest like J-pop music right now to cover because she's insane. But amazing job. The mix has a lot of good things going on. I one thing I want to like kind of highlight first is like Iku's ad-libbing, even though it's not really like ad-libbing, it's not improvised ad-libbing because it's like from the main song, but it's like spot on. Like here, for example. So like here's one little one right here. Like the backgrounds. The like the do-do-doos. And then like they're all, I mean, they're through the whole song. I really liked how the mixer did a filter right there. Hey Lure. Which I think the original does that too, but it's the execution was still really good here. I think it sounds good. Also, yeah, like just the vocal inflections and the little flourishes that Iku does are like, oh, they're so good. They're to die for. Like that part is so good. Yeah, like I don't even know how you do that. Like how does a person sing that? It's like I don't understand. I couldn't even approach this song. This is like impossible. Sent over a zipped FL Studio project. Oh yeah, I won't be able to open that. I think you sent over an audio file though too, right? I downloaded it. I didn't check it though yet. She's got the vocal fry too here. Man. It's the mixer did a really nice stereo kind of widening here. Although I think it could have been actually more. I would have exaggerated that even more. For the sonic balance, or what did they, how did you phrase it? Did I exit out of forms? No, I didn't. Frequency balancing. Oh, okay, I thought for some reason they asked for volume balancing. The frequency balancing is pretty good. The EQing is nicely done. I think it's sitting well. You could give it a little bit more punch in this song, but it's also kind of tricky because this song is. It's interesting because the instrumental of this song is really clean, and there's a lot of space. So you gotta kind of be careful because if you put too much in something, like if you put too much in any space, it can kind of stick out. But let's kind of see if I give it a little bit of low mids, a little like, I mean, I can only do it on the whole track, but let's just kind of try and imagine we're isolating the vocals here. Yeah, see, like I would have liked a little more like around here, 800 to 1K in the vocals. Just kind of compare. I'll exaggerate it so we can really hear it. So that's just so you can hear what we're boosting, and then I'll bring it down to a more appropriate level. So if you can kind of hear it, just gets a little bit thicker, and we have a little bit more there in the lower mids, which again are I'll bring it up again. So these frequencies right here, just boost them just a little bit, and then here's without. And of course this is on the master right now. It's boosting the instrumental as well, so you kind of have to imagine it in context, but. I think you can kind of see what I'm getting at. We're just a little bit more foundation in the vocal there, but just a little bit, not a lot. I think the high frequency sounds good. Let's see what happens when I put a little bit of boost in the high frequency for clarity. I don't think you need it because there is plenty of clarity here. But just as like a, let's just kind of as a test, I'm gonna bypass these and I'm just gonna do a little bit of high gain. You can actually hear the vocal. This is kind of an example of what I was talking about a minute ago, where there's a lot of space in this instrumental. Where if I boost this high frequency right here, you're not going to notice too much actually being boosted in the instrumentals because there's not that much up there. But you are going to hear a little bit more crispness in the vocal if I do this. And it gives it a lot more energy, which I like. And then a little bit of this. It's a little like strident right now, but see, I feel like it just gives a little bit of energy in like the 1K to 8K range, just a little bit, and then a little bit of energy in the high frequencies, which I'm not sure what this is actually at. I kind of wish it told me. I think this is probably around 8K, maybe 10K, but it just gives it a little bit more energy, which this is a really energetic and bouncy kind of song, so I think it kind of helps. Because I'm boosting the whole thing, right? Again, it's gonna sound a little bit like strident and a little bit clashy right now, but again, you can kind of get the idea of what I mean. So here's without him. And then I'm gonna put him back in here. And then taking him out. And also what these are doing that's really helpful right now is because I'm boosting the frequencies where the vocal's really sitting at, it's increasing the volume of the vocals, basically, right? Which is the number one biggest thing that I noticed when listening to this mix was I think the instrumental is too hot, as in too loud, and it covers the vocal up. Especially on some of the busier parts. See, like, I think the vocal's getting kind of lost here. Especially right here. So, like, I would really like to hear more volume from the vocal. So yeah, I'm gonna pop in our EQ again here to give us a little adding a little more volume to the vocal. God, a VTuber run away. Well, you can run away, but we're gonna have to follow you like in that one $50,000 Has-Been Hotel music video. These shouts are really good. What's cool is EQ, you gave your mixer a lot to play with. I can tell you have a lot of layers and a lot of ad-libbing and a lot of harmony. So it's when you have that as a mixer, it's a double-edged sword because one, it's a lot more work because you have to then mix all these other tracks. But I think it's the easiest way to make mixes sound better. It's just giving more, right? Because it's like you can do artificial harmonies, you can do widening tricks, you can do like all kinds of stuff, but you usually get a better result just by getting more vocal tracks. There's 18 of them. Yeah, see, that's perfectly fine. Like, so long as your mixer knows, then so long as they're ready for it. Really nice vocal fry there on the outro. Yeah, that outro is really clean. But yeah, again, the biggest thing is again the vocals need more volume, and I think more compression would be good for that, like a tighter compressor. Well, the compressor is actually pretty tight on this, but even just adding something like OTT for a little bit of gain boost, I think would be cool. A 400 track Logic session, yeah, that's like Jacob Collier levels right there. I don't I don't think I've ever gotten to 400 tracks. I've probably gotten to like 200, but that was not for a mix. That was for a, well, it was for a mix, but it was for like a multi-instrumental, multi-vocalist, large project mix. I don't remember what I did. I did a mix for a VTuber agency that I won't name the name of, because they got exploded. Where yeah, it was like a full instrumental mix and a full vocal mix, and it was like probably like 127 tracks or something, which is not that much, but it's kind of a lot. Like a chorus, yeah, exactly, like a chorus. But like it was a chorus mix with like the 5 or 6 talents, and also it was an original composition by one of the talents. So I had like 100 tracks of instrumentals, and then also like the 50 takes of the vocalists, and then like a bunch of the instrumentals were live recorded as well. So there's like, oh yeah, here's a random like live guitar, and then a random like live drum, and then like here's like 50 orchestral samples, and like here's like 50 guitar samples. But that was a fun well, it was a miserable project, but it's a fun project. I did that right when I moved into this apartment, actually. Hey Daisy, how's it going? Yeah, Volume original. Yeah, it was an original composition by well, I guess I can say the name of the agency was Accio Air, which is no more. They got Thanos snapped out of existence when but yeah, I did their Gen 1 debut thing. Were the vocals timed at least, or did you have to place every vocal manually? They were not. Were they timed? They were mostly timed. They were mostly tuned and timed by one of the talents, who ended up, I think, dropping out and getting replaced. So I mixed it with one person voicing one talent, and then that person decided they didn't want to be in the agency anymore, and so I had to undo all of their work, and a new person passed the audition last minute and re-recorded everything with a toaster microphone. So that was fun. It's going all right. I'm doing pretty good. It was only fun after 2 months when the projects are done. Oh yeah, like the chorus thing, where choruses are rough. If you've got nothing else going on, it's like, yeah, sure, I'll invest like 600 hours into this like 42 person project like at the end in December. But if you're doing literally anything else, it's like, no, I cannot devote this kind of brain power. But yeah, so again, the volume on this, more volume in the vocals, I'd say. You can do a little more EQing to give a little more energy in the vocals, especially in this song, which has a lot of space. I would do a lot more widening with the some of these wide parts. I think there's one here. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I might be able to emulate a little more width here with where's Ozone? Am I blind? Ozone iZotope. Ozone. What we're gonna do is we're going to let's find a good example spot for this. This will be cool if this works. Maybe that part. I'm trying to find a part that has a lot of people singing. Maybe this part. We could try it here. So I'm going to get rid of all those. I'm going to put the imager in because Ozone has a lovely imager. I'm going to move that here. I'm going to move this here. I'm going to move this here. I am going to... So what this is going to do is how does this work? This will... what will this do? I don't actually know how the imager works. It uses stereoizing. I think it's almost like a multi-band compressor. Right here are your bands, but it widens them instead of EQs them, and I think it widens them by using phase, by offsetting different frequencies within the phase spectrum in order to make them sound wider. I think that's how that works. This works, but I'll exaggerate it so you can kind of hear what's going on. So, okay, so what I just did is, I think it actually might do a little bit of, it might do a little bit of saturation in the stereo field as well to like add more frequencies in there. It make music good. It uses steroids. Yeah, ozone is basically like performance enhancing drugs. But what you're gonna notice is when I've got this disabled right now, when I re-enable it, it's gonna, especially if you're wearing headphones, if you're listening on your phone, you probably can't hear this very much. But if you're wearing headphones, you're gonna notice it's gonna be way wider, if that makes sense. It's gonna push the vocals a little bit out further to the left and right and just make it sound wider. It's gonna make it sound wider. So here, I'll show you. I have it disabled right now. And I'm gonna enable it right now. So again, then I'm exaggerating it right now, so it pops out a little more. I think that's more of that widening would be good in these like chorusy parts. I'm gonna enable it. Almost like an echo. It's a little bit like an echo because it's changing the phase of the frequencies by offsetting different frequencies by a very small amount. So if you were to exaggerate it even more, like a lot more, then it would become an echo, if that makes sense. It's almost like micro echoes within a frequency chunk. Chunk? Slice. There we go. Off topic, I spent all day updating my player head spreadsheet because Minecraft dropped. Minecraft? Who plays Minecraft in 2024? No, Minecraft's fun. Minecraft is fun. This instrumental is honestly pretty down the middle, like pan-wise, which that's the instrumental, not the mix, right? So I think you can, for a mix like this, you can really spread it wide because there's not too much busyness in the far widths of these things. Oh no, I don't want spreader. Spreader's trash. Directional mixture is what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna spread this a little wider here. Let's see. Oh, that sounds really weird. Why does that sound so weird? Huh. Just a little bit. I'll add. Spreader spreads it kind of weirdly. This one? I think it's this one, okay. Oh yeah, that's what I want spreaded, this right here. It's built different, yeah. So I'm gonna enable everything that I've kind of messed with, which is just, again, a little more higher frequencies, a little more low mid frequencies to make the vocal pop a little more, and then a little bit more stereo width with ozone, which, yeah, is just kind of widening it a bit. For 15 milliseconds is quite a lot. Okay, so I'll get rid of direction mixer because that sounded bad. So without. Now everything in. And again, it's exaggerated in this case, and I'm doing it to the master track, but just to give you some ideas of some different directions you can take it in order to increase the energy of the song in the vocal, and also just add more width, more things. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this mix, though. The vocal performance is awesome, and the mix is also actually very good too. So do you have any questions or comments, Iku, that you want to make about this? So you nailed this right here. Harmonies are a little inaudible. Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with that. I think yeah, I think your harmonies and ad-libs, and I mean all of your vocals could be louder, but definitely your harmonies and ad-libs get lost. I mean, they're especially in an Ado song, which is like so vocal focused, and it's really Ado songs are really like a showcase of your person's vocal like abilities, and a lot of their like craziness that they can do. So it's like bring those out and be. Ado is not a subtle performer, which so this is a concept that I feel like not everybody takes into account is before you start a mix and before you start a song as the singer, anytime you're working on something, whether you be the singer or the mixer or the producer, I think it's worth taking a moment to really think about the work that you're doing and put yourself in the mindset of where you need to be instead of just jumping into it. So I think Iku, you did that really well in this, where you were like, okay, here's what this song is, here's who the singer is, here's what's important, here's how I'm going to do it in my kind of style. You kind of did more of a emulating her style in this case, but it's like, which is perfectly valid, but it's like you took the moment to really think and wrap your head around, okay, this is what this song is, so here's how I'm going to approach it, right? And I think that's important to do, and which is all just a long way of saying that when mixing a song like this, like an Ado song, or singing one, you can be over the top, right? And you can be aggressive, and you can try crazy things. You can make the harmonies really loud and really far out there and really wide, and you can put them on mono channels and shoot them way off to the left and way off to the right, and you can mid-side EQ them and kill all the bass in the middle, and you can chorus them, and you can stereoize them, and you can do all kinds of stuff, because there's kind of no rules in a song like this. It's the rules are just have fun, right? And go crazy. Until you just listen to the acapella version. Not sure if it's supposed to blend with the instrumental version. Yeah, I see, and again, it's just all to say, like, I think that the harmony should be louder, but yeah, and that's also a style thing from the vocalist perspective. There's a lot of different approaches you can have with the mix, and none of them are per se correct or incorrect. But every vocalist has a preference when it comes to harmonies, especially. Some want their harmonies to just be there as a foundation to kind of make their lead sound better, where almost you don't even notice the harmonies unless you mute them. But when they're in there, you barely even notice them. They're just kind of there as window dressing. Some vocalists want the harmonies to be as loud as the mains almost, and like really visible and, well, I guess audible. There we go. Really audible in the mix. Some vocalists want them to kind of sound like backline vocalists, right? Where they're kind of somewhere in between. So it's all about a vocalist's preference with the style for the song, this is one thing that I always kind of ask when I do a mix is once I sent like my first, second, or third work in progress to the client, I'll say like, hey, what do you think about the volume? What do you think about the harmony balance? Because I can't make those decisions for the vocalist. Well, I can if they want me to, but there's different preferences, right? So I have to always kind of take into account what the preferences of the vocals, how they want their harmonies to sit, which is important because as a mixer, you're mixing for the vocalist, right? And also, what was I just gonna say? I had a train of thought there, but I lost it. Nope, I lost what I was saying, thinking. What was I just talking about? Yeah, it's about the vocalist press. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. In covers, especially, I will usually mix the vocals a lot louder than I normally would because vocal covers in like the Utaite or the VTuber space or whatever, or the YouTube space in general, are showcases of the vocalist, right? The vocalist is, I mean, the vocalist is almost always the star in the music, but it's like, you're not really listening to the song to listen to the song when it's a cover. You're listening to the song because your Oshi is singing it, right? So I tend to make vocals in mixes a little louder than I normally would if like I was writing an original or producing an original. So yeah, just remember that covers are a showcase of the vocalist, right? So you can be a little more loud with the vocals, which yeah. So, but again, I think this is a great mix. I think it's a great performance. I'd add a little more volume in the harmonies, a little more volume in the mains, a little more energy in the high frequencies, a little more width in the harmonies, and a little more reverb too, especially at this intro. Like, what if I just add a little bit of reverb here? Also, hey Laffy, lovely for you to join us. I know that you submitted something, I believe. East West, come here. Don't look, you're gonna see my secret reverb reverbs that I use. These are my secret patented reverbs. You're not allowed to look at them. You're not allowed to use them. Go use that one that everyone else. Go use Valhalla. Everyone else uses. Not that one. Maybe the digital one. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. So here's without. And then with. Yeah, see, I want a little bit more reverb too on the vocals. At least in the intro. On the rest of it too, but especially on the intro. I'm gonna add a little more. I'm just gonna put everything back in for the intro. And then I take everything out. I do think the EQ balance of this is very good, though. Actually, I'm pretty impressed with how even this sounds. But yeah, those were all just my personal kind of ideas. They're not correct or incorrect in any way. It's just a matter of preference. So yeah, thank you for your submission, Iku. If you have any other questions or comments, please let me know. Laffy, you submitted twice. Yes, you certainly did. Don't worry though, I got you. Ethereal, yeah, with an intro like this, I kind of like having it a little more reverbed and wide just because it's, I mean, you have different approaches, right? You can decide to make it sound really close, like the vocalist is right over your shoulder and they're just whispering this intro into your ear, but not really whispering, but like you can be like, yeah, like this person's right in your face and they're singing it. Or you can kind of have the approach like, oh, I just walked into a random auditorium and the lights are off and there's this vocalist on the stage way down there and they're singing and it's really reverby and wide and it's all kind of like mysterious and romantic, and you're like, oh, what is this person doing? And then the song comes in and it hits, and then you've got the mixes, where the mix should be, where it's all upfront and reverb more subtly. There's different kind of, you can have that narrative as a mixer in your mind of how you want to approach this and what story you're trying to tell through your mixing, right? I decided to send in something because even with 12 years of dabbling in the stuff, there might be some things that I'm still dog water at. Everyone can learn from everything in any form of art, no matter their level of experience. A person has 3 months of experience could teach somebody with 10 years of experience something, or a person with 20 years of experience can teach somebody who has 3 months of experience, right? It's all relative, so long as we're open as artists to hearing criticism and critique, Little reverb is super nice. Yeah, it just adds a little bit of, again, it's like you're telling the story with the mix, which goes back to what I was mentioning before of taking a moment to really consider what the song means that you're working on and how you're going to approach it, which is something I don't do every time, right? I think it's something that most people are guilty of, including myself, where it's like, all right, I've got this mix due in a week. I'm going to jump in it. I'm going to start chopping up the vocals and EQing without really considering, like, what is this song, right? How do you feel about recording distance from the microphone? There is a little bit of room. I noticed that, like, it's picking up a bit of your recording environment, for sure. Like, when I hear that, I can imagine the room that you're in when I hear that, right? It's probably a fairly low-roofed rectangular room with like a small walk-in closet, and your computer is against the long wall of it, right? And you're pointed to the right of that towards the short wall, right? Kind of like, that might not be correct, but like I can kind of imagine the room that you're singing in, because just because it's not a recording studio, right? But if you get closer to the mic, you get a little less room. So sometimes when you're in a shitty recording environment, it's better to be close. I think your distance is fine. I think your volume control is fine. There are some side effects when you get really close, mainly the proximity effect. Your basses are going to get boosted. You can cut them with EQ, but they're still going to be there, and your high frequencies are going to get a little bit cut out. Also, whoever just did something, subscribed or something, thank you. NT1A, for some reason, doesn't have to sing close to be loud. Yeah. Now I changed the Stellar one. Actually, have to be quite close to the mic to sound loud of it. Have you decided if you like the Stellar over the NT1A? Iku and I both have the same Stellar condenser microphone that we got from a sponsorship randomly. I'm not using it right now. Right now I'm using my AKG C214, but I do have the Stellar. I'm looking at it, and it's fine. I like it. It's cool. It's a cool microphone. It was cool for $3.99. Going detective mode. Yeah, sometimes I just will bullshit stuff and hope it's correct. And if it's correct, everyone's like, that's so cool. And if it's incorrect, it's like, nobody cares, right? You like the Stellar more? Yeah. This is a hot take. Don't tattle on me for this, but I do not like the NT1A. And a lot of people have it. It's a good first condenser mic, right? If you spent money on your NT1A, you should be happy because you have a good entry-level condenser mic, but I don't like how it sounds. It's really brittle in the high frequencies. It's really strident. Every time I mix somebody with an NT1A, I can tell right away that it's an NT1A, and I have to really massage the high ends. Whenever it's an NT1A mix, I pull out the Soothe plugin to fix how brittle the high ends on that microphone sound. And now recording with FL, not Audacity. Yeah, FL has a slightly better kind of recording algorithm than Audacity, I think. Better. I don't know what would be better about it. I think it's the codec compressor would be better. Zephy mic sponsor. Yeah, I have. There's this Chinese company that randomly will email people and send them a free mic, and they did to me, and they've sent them a couple. I made a video playing saxophone on it, which is all they wanted me to do. They're like, just play a video, like play saxophone or do whatever you want and just post a video and we'll send you a free mic. I'm like, that's it? Like, I don't have to like do an affiliate link or anything. They're like, no, just make a video. I don't have to do a review or anything. They're like, nope. I'm like, all right, well, that's extremely easy. How about the AT series, like the AT2020, the Audio Technica AT series, you mean? If you're talking about the AT2020 by AT, I like the AT2020 XLR version. The USB is whatever, it's on par with the Blue Yeti, right? The USB version. Maybe a little bit better sounding than the Blue Yeti, I would say, the AT2020. But I think it's a good mic for the price. It's definitely an entry level condenser microphone, but I think it's one of the best entry level condenser microphones at that price range. I think that's been changing a little bit because there've been a lot more entry level microphones being introduced and developed now because there's a much bigger market than there used to be with streamers and stuff now getting into pro audio, whereas before it was only producers and songwriters and stuff that needed these things. Now there's a much bigger audience for affordable microphones. So new ones are always coming out, which is kind of cool. And the AT2020 is at this point now it's like a, I don't know, 15, 20-year-old microphone, right? Which isn't a bad thing, right? It doesn't mean it's worse by any means, but you just have to consider like, hey, is this 20-year microphone going to be as good as maybe something more recently developed? Which it might be, because there are microphones that are, 50 years old that are still used in every single studio and that are considered the best microphones in the world. Like the Neumann U87 is freaking hella old. The AKG 414 is super old. The SM57 and 58, two of the most legendary microphones of all time, are really old. The Shure SM7B, the microphone that every freaking streamer thinks is the best microphone ever, even though it's like really overpriced and there's better options for half the price, is really old. The 7B is a very good mic, but it's not what a lot of people think it is. Why didn't the AT2020 come out 4 years ago? What do you mean? Imagine using USB over XLR. USB is great as a entry level point, right? Because an audio interface costs you $100, right? So sure, PGA 48 is the PGA 48. Is the PGA 48 or 48, 45, 48? Yeah. The PGA 48 is just like a cheaper 58, right? I don't know what the 48 is. It's probably like if it's PGA, it's probably like a more like a Toastmaster microphone for just like talking at conferences, right? But yeah, I think the AT2020 is a very good mic. What do they go for right now? AT2020 XLR. How expensive are AT2020s? You can probably get them used on OfferUp or eBay super cheap now since they've been out for so long. $100. Yeah, I think it's valid. $100 for AT2020. If I were to get an AT2020, I would get one used though. Because I bet you could find one for like $50. Or I'd just get a Shure SM58. Any thoughts on Ableton as a recording mixing software? Ableton's excellent. I don't like Ableton personally. I don't like its workflow, because it just doesn't like jive with how I like to do workflow. But Ableton's an awesome program. I think it's excellent. But so would anybody like to volunteer to go next? I think Lure is here. I think Laffy is here. I think you both submitted a thing. I think Laffy was here first. I think. But yeah, thank you again, Iku, for the submission. It was very lovely to listen to. Let's see, where are you? Laffy, you submitted something, right? Maybe you didn't. Maybe I'm crazy. What was your username when you submitted? Oh, it's probably this one right here. Sir laughs a lot. I tribute go after the other person. Okay, you both were very lady slash gentlemanly like, so we're gonna flip a coin. Flip a coin. Lure, do you want to be heads or tails? Thank you, Zal, for subscribing. Welcome. I'm gonna give Laffy. You can be tails. Yeah, Laffy sounds more like a tails kind of thing. All right, Lure is heads. Laffy is tails. Here we go. Heads. All right, Lure's going. And we'll definitely get both of you in tonight, though. Contain audio markers. I don't care. I don't want them. You could take your audio markers and run with them. Lure, let's see what we got here. Let's see what you did. I didn't close my form. Nice. So you're gonna be. You would have been submission 17, I believe, if memory serves. If it would load. No, Combi. Who's Combi? No Combi. You were somebody submitted during the stream. Interesting. So we got Lure here. Remix, composition, remix, arrangement, production, mixing, mastering, the whole shebang. Are there any parts, the aspects you want me to focus on? The production, mixing, and mastering. And then here's a song. I'm always doing my best, but sometimes even that's never enough. That's part of being an artist, I'm afraid. That doesn't go away. Unless you become very full of yourself, in which case, congratulations. If you see any hint of weakness in this, roast me. It will hurt, but that's what makes, but what doesn't make me swear off music forever may hopefully make me better. I wish I had some advice for some music confidence. I think just, I'll have some ideas, maybe. I have some ideas, but I don't want to say them right now. We'll just listen to this first. So I checked this before to make sure it wasn't corrupted. Like I listened to 30 seconds of it before stream. And this is a Pretty Patterns remix, right? I believe. Unfortunately, I don't know the song. I'm not familiar with the original, honestly. So I'm gonna bring it up just for a second, just so I can kind of get an idea of what your remix did, because sometimes it's kind of tricky. Oh, this was the contest one. Yes, I remember that. I remember them posting about a contest. Sometimes it's kind of tricky to see what people did on a remix, and if you don't know the original. So I'm just gonna pull up just a second of the original so we can kind of get an idea. Hey, your mother. Welcome back. I think he used Okay, I think I got a general idea of what this song is like. We can come back to it later if we need to. So we're gonna go ahead and listen to Lure's remix of Breeze. Here we go.
just fine. And all the while just contemplating. Seems like the grass is greener outside. No rush, but I thought might follow. No how do I will break these ties, but all together life keeps moving. Can you believe again? Can you believe again?
Never was such, yet I'd much rather believe again. The smile ran down your face,
A part of me retreat as it goes. Feels like it should be written sometimes. So why is it so hard to swallow? Didn't cave when there is no sign. But all together I keep hearing. Can you believe again? Can you believe again? Can you believe again? Can you believe again?
Can you flee after love? Won't believe I'm enough. Would the sea rise above?
La vie n'est jamais aussi simple. Nous traversons tous les hauts et les bas de ce qui se présente à nous. Malgré tout, nous devons trouver notre propre refuge. Même si ce refuge se trouve dans ces petites tavernes.
Can you flee after love? Won't believe I'm enough. Would the sea rise above?
All right, what do we think? Pretty darn good. So it seems like did you replace most of the instrumental? Like, is that mostly your instrumentals that you added, it seemed like? Because it seemed pretty darn different from the original. Let's see. So how's the original doing here? Let's kind of compare. Oh, I should have downloaded the stems for this. Let's see. Yeah, I'll just play it on YouTube. So how I usually operate when I do remixes, only work with the acapella. Okay. There's lots of different ways to approach a remix. And you kind of did almost a cover, I would say. Like you almost did a full cover of the instrumental. So that was a very involved way of doing a remix for sure. So like let's compare. Let's change this to just time. Like the drop at 38, and you change the timing, so the drop's going to be in a different spot, I think. But let's see. You change the tempo, which is like the most important part of a remix, in my opinion. Yeah.
can't blame it on a phrase this time.
Got some kind of breakbeat drums going on. Love that. This is a great sound right here. The keys. And only incorporate other stems when they can be used for arrangement. Right. Is so these I don't know if they're congos or bongos or congas or whatever. So they're actually a tuned percussion piece, how your sampler or synth is doing them. And they sound a bit like, because the drums are actually playing notes here. If I have while I was listening, I plugged in my tiny keyboard just so I could have some keyboard control here. I didn't want to pull out my big keyboard. Let's see. No, these ones aren't. I don't have pitched hand drums, I don't think. I do somewhere, but bongo maybe? No, none of my drums are pitched. I do have some somewhere, but I don't know where they are right now. Actually, let's go. I'm gonna go to sculpture, and I'm gonna go to model percussion tribal. Oh, those are really deep. I'll just look at the master. I don't need to look at him, I don't think. So you're kind of doing like a... And I feel like yours might be almost micro-tuned. I think that's micro-tuned. I think that's between these two notes here, being B and C. Because you hear that ba, 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 it's kind of in between. Actually, it kind of sounds like B and C at the same time, which is it's not wrong, but it does kind of stick out a bit to me. I'm just trying to see what some other ones would work. These drums sound like I'm hitting a PVC pipe. That was just one thing that stuck out to me. Is yeah, they almost seem like they're micro-tuned between a B and a C, which is fine. Micro-tuning's pretty cool if you want it. Really nice kind of cymbal rise here. I really like the breakbeat drums you got going here. Honestly, I didn't think too much about the tones of the drums we're making. Yeah, that's one thing that can kind of bite you is I've done this before too, where I just kind of these are kind of an exaggerated, which is why I use sculpture, because I knew they would be. They're very tonal, right? Especially with really low drums. Sometimes when this is a little tip is if I'm programming a really low drum that is pitched, like for example a timpani, or depending on what program you're using, what sampler or synth you're using, it may be pitched. I recommend performing the part, either writing in the MIDI or playing it a couple octaves up, so you can very clearly hear what the pitch is and make sure it's fitting in the chords, and then bringing the octaves down to where you actually want it to be. And I do that with bass also when I'm writing bass parts sometimes. it's sometimes kind of hard to hear if you're playing a wrong note when you're playing a really low, deep bass, because bass sounds are harder to distinguish. So I will bring the bass part up an octave, play it up an octave, and then pop it down to where I actually want it to be in the song. Because if it's up an octave and you're playing a wrong note, it sticks out a lot more. That's kind of... These ones are pretty easy to tell if they're what they are, but like down here, like super low. Like it's hard to tell what... Like, can you tell these two notes are an entire octave apart? I mean, you can, but just an example. The higher up, it's... If I play these fast, it doesn't really register that they're 2 octaves apart, or 1 octave apart. But if I go up a couple octaves, it's very obvious, right? Just to show an example. The lower I get, though. Hopefully I'm not blowing anybody's sub basses out, because I realize this is kind of loud. I'll bring down the master volume a bit. Maybe not that much. Maybe like right here. But when you come in here, really nice high-end energy. It feels like you're missing a little bit of frequencies around here, I'd say. In here. Right here.
After one such, yet I'd much rather go live. A voice that will smile ran down your face, down
So I just did a really quick EQ here. I added a bit more here because I felt like your bass energy was a little lacking. I am listening on headphones right now though, so it's a little hard to tell the bass. A little more 1K because I wanted a little more presence, and then a little bit 10K to give the vocals a bit of sparkle. Which, I mean, this is the kind of thing I do a lot. Like, I boost 10K pretty often. I booster cut 1K, and then I usually boost 400, but I'm gonna, or I usually cut it, but I'm gonna boost it in this case. So here's with the EQ I just did. Here's without. It's a question of kind of, again, approach, where I think this sounds really kind of crisp and cold and nice, but this has a little more energy, and it's just a question of what direction you want to go with your mix. I think you could benefit actually from some saturation on the master. How did you master this, by the way? Because I can tell from the waveforms just by looking at them that I don't think you normalized them, but I can tell you definitely used some sort of mastering compressor, I think. Actually, I'm actually gonna do a quick remaster with, I think the good old master deck will sound good on this. And I'm gonna do mix bus starts here. Like what did you use for volume, kind of for limiting on your master? Did you use like Ozone, or like I don't know what FL has for mastering? Sound Goodizer, is that a mastering plugin? Wait, I would give it more foundation. Not that much, but you don't need these.
After love, won't believe.
This is not doing a whole lot. You don't really have a whole lot going on in these low mid frequencies. Yeah, there's very little going on here with this master. I'm putting in a more aggressive. Yeah, see, I can definitely tell you mastered this. Just because there's not a whole lot of difference when I'm throwing in like a pretty basic chain on here. Well, this isn't even a chain, this is just one. Yeah, I definitely would like that to have a little more bass energy.
Can you believe again?
So here's with what I just added, and then here's without. I am adding a little gain, so it's a little unfair, but...
Même si ce refuge se trouve dans ces petits baptêmes.
The big thing is just trying to add a little saturation around the 1K range, and then a little more bass. Let me add something real quick. Sampler's fine. Let's do like a... Oops. Fingers were shifted on the keyboard, so I just clicked a bunch of random hotkeys on accident. Bass. That's fine. So you've got kind of like a do-do-do. Where is it? I can barely hear it. Yeah, you've got kind of like a kind of thing going on, which I would like to hear more of. Just the bass in general, I think would be a little, you could use more. Don't be afraid of the bass. And if you have not even more texture, just more just more bass. You could definitely add more texture just by, again, if you put it through a saturator, or you ring shifted it, or do whatever. Not raising it up an octave. I wouldn't raise it up an octave. If you were gonna raise it up, I would instead add a second bass on top of it. So keep your original bass, make a second bass that's a different channel, like a different I don't know, preset or whatever, or however you program it. And then cut out the sub bass of the new one, so that you have one bass that's adding interest to the mid and the top, and then you still have your original, because the bass you have in there is kind of a sub bass. The one I'm messing with right now is even more of a sub bass. This is super sub bassy. But like, if you want to, that's just one trick you can kind of do with the bass is you can combine multiple basses and then cut out the chunks that you don't need of them to kind of Frankenstein them together. So if you have a bass that's very sub bassy, very deep and low, keep the low of that, and then if you want to preserve that low subness of it, keep that, because sub basses work really well as just really simple sine kind of wave bass, like this one. It's very simple. And then add a second bass, but cut out the subs of the second bass and layer it in there with the other one. That's not a bass. Really nice sound here. So yeah, for example, so I like the bass. I like the level of the bass here, where it's a lot more present, and it's more present here because there's less other stuff going on to cover it up, but you get a little more bass here, and I like. Really nice part writing here with the piano melody, and then you have it countering with the bass, actually, are doing a counter melody together, which is really nice. the bass is going do 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 kind of thing, and then the high keyboard is kind of just tinkling around, which I like. That's something I really like that you did, is you put in ear candy, which is just, you know, like little bits of things in different instruments that are just kind of sparkling and tinkling around to add interest to the song. You did a lot of that, which is really awesome.
Feels like it should be pretty sometimes. Some ways it's hard to swallow. Didn't cave
Yeah, again here it's like your bass is really sub-bassy, but it doesn't have a lot of substance in the higher bass frequencies, like around like 200, 300. It's a little empty.
Can you believe?
I had that on the wrong channel. I was like, that's not doing anything.
Can you believe? Feels like it should be
Yeah, see, I feel you need a little more substance right here.
it's hard to swallow.
Because you've got a lot here with the sub bass, but you've got nothing here besides the drums, which is fine actually. But
Again,
you've got only a bit of the vocal down here, and that's about it.
can you believe again?
So you have kind of the toms and the drums playing there, and that's about it. Again, really nice part writing with the piano here. Really nice.
After love
Again, you have that tinkling kind of ear candy, that synth that's just really nice work there.
the sea rise above.
Again, yeah, you're just killing it with the ear candy in this, man.
Rise above.
Yeah. Really nice transition here. Really risky transition too, and it paid off. I really think it paid off. I couldn't have done that transition. Listen to Dead Kennedy. Well, unless Mr. Kennedy himself is here to submit it, I'm afraid I cannot.
Dans ce petit appel.
Some really cool. Was this vocal glitching here part of the stems, or did you add that lure? Because that transition is so cool. It's very melodic.
After love, won't believe I'm enough. Would the sea rise above?
You added the glitch. Awesome work.
Can you flee after love?
I would have in this part I would have automated the send of the echo or the delay, but I'm just gonna call it an echo because that's how it's functioning, even though it's a delay. I think it would have sounded a little better if the delay was grabbing just the last word or last couple words of these lines, instead of, you can hear the delay hopping in kind of early, I think here.
Can you flee?
So you can hear the "Can you flee" delaying, which again, this is a total style choice. It's not wrong how you did it, but just a different perspective if you were interested.
Can you flee?
And then automate the delay up right here.
Won't believe.
And you can hear he does the "after love" part. He says it once, and then he says it a couple more times, that it delays pretty pretty quickly after that.
After love, won't
I would have liked to hear that. It's a little cliche, I guess, how I'm recommending it, but having the "after love" just like love, 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 and just kind of really fade out. Just the last word. And you can get that again by, you automate the send of the delay, you pop it way up, you get it really hot just on that last word, and then you fade it down, right? Which I mean, I can just do it right now actually. So I'm gonna do like a stereo delay. Actually, no, I'll do a yeah, sure, stereo delay. No, actually. Let's do Delay Designer. Let's do a simple filtered. It's gonna be a little funky because I don't have the BPM in this delay syncs to the BPM. I'm gonna do a filter pan. Let's try. And I want to grab the main, and I want to grab the send, and I want to grab the absolute. Let's see, where are we?
Can you flee after love?
So I want to grab it here and here and here, and I want to go have that go there, and I want this to go here, and I want it to be like that. Let's see.
After love, won't believe. After love, won't be.
I want the fade out to be longer.
After love, won't believe. After love, won't believe.
I'm gonna kind of let it sit, and then, but when the second verse comes in, I'm gonna dip it more. But I'm gonna kind of let it sit initially.
After love, won't believe. After love, won't believe.
The timing's obviously off on this because again I don't have the beat. Well, actually, what is the BPM on this song? BPM counter. 95. Okay. Custom. Hopefully this doesn't screw everything up. Sometimes it does because Logic is mental sometimes.
Could be written outside, step apart of me, the fate as it goes.
After love,
BPM's
won't
190.
believe I'm enough.
95 works fine for this example. It's close enough. Oh, it screwed up my. See, I hate Logic drives me crazy when it does this, and I've tried so many ways to turn it off, and changing the BPM after you start the project just ruins everything. And if you have flex on, it screws up things even more. It's so aggravating. And I've read so many like forums on how to fix that, and they're all wrong. It doesn't work.
After love, won't believe.
There we go. So yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. I've it a little bit exaggerated right now, again, just so you can hear it over YouTube. But
Can you flee after love, won't believe I'm enough.
and then another one here. Can I copy automation? I don't usually copy automation. Let's see. I sure can.
After love, won't believe I'm enough.
Oh, wait, move that here.
After love, won't believe I'm enough. With this
Oh yeah, I really like how this sounds when you have the kind of the harmonies come in, and how I think it transitions really nice into the harmonies right here on the second one now.
after love, won't believe I'm enough. With the sea rise above.
And you just copy paste it whenever there's that last word.
After love, won't believe I'm enough. With the sea rise above.
Actually, I'd pull that. Oops, not like that. Pull that out like that. But yeah, that personally, again, just a style preference thing. I think that sounds really cool, and I like that. What else? What else can we look at here? All in all, really awesome work. It's a really pleasant mix to listen to. You could listen to this mix over and over again and not get a lot of ear fatigue, I think. You re-instrumented the whole freaking song, which is insane. I think your percussion balance is pretty nice. I don't really have any comments. Yeah, see, even just a little bit of EQ and the 301K, I think beefs the song up a little bit in a nice way.
Wish I could with me from both sides. Intent is just my sorrow. Mistakes could be written outside. A part of me would read as it goes. Feels like it should be written sometimes. Some ways it's hard to swallow. Didn't cave when there is no sign.
Yeah, I just like it with a little more energy down there.
Can you believe again?
I think your biggest strength in this was the transitions, which are freaking insane. Some of these transitions you have are like nuts, and you can tell that you didn't just throw transitions in, you handcrafted each of these transitions.
Can't blame it on a phrase this time. Won't call you when I
Right
want
there,
to.
very nice. I actually like how you did an abrupt cutoff on these vocal swirly kind of parts here. Normally, I would like have had my first instinct would have been to fade those out into the next section, but since this song kind of has a lot of like fading and things kind of building into each other, I like how you have them abruptly cut here because it's a nice style choice, I think, here. Ah, they're just gone. And it's like, hey, we're out of the intro now, and I like that. That doesn't always work, but in this case, I think that worked very nicely for you.
Ran down your face,
Can you believe?
You did something a little interesting too with your approaches. Your harmonies, I think, are actually louder than your leads. They definitely were here.
ran down your face,
Yeah, so your harmonies are much louder than your leads, which is really interesting way to approach it. I don't know if you like consciously like made that decision or if you just naturally did it, but
Can you believe again?
again, even here, your oh, I forgot I put the delay there already. I thought I put it over there. Even here, your harmonies are louder than your lead.
After love, won't believe I'm enough. Let the sea rise above.
I really like the width you have there.
La lune, elle se refuge, se trouve dans ses petits patères.
I like that lead a lot too. I want that lead, that horn lead. Is that horn lead a FL Studio one, or is that from something else? Anything related to harmony is not me, but to patterns itself. Well, you mixed the vocal stems, right? Like you adjusted them and you panned them and stuff and EQ'd them, right?
Can you flee after love? Won't believe I'm enough. Let the sea rise above.
Studio harmonies. Damn. I wanted to take it. A nice fade out there. I would have extended the fade on the bass right here because the bass fades out a lot quicker than the higher instruments here. See, everything else kind of still swirls here a little bit, but the bass kind of fades out really quickly. So the vocal stems patterns bounce. Oh, okay. He did all the vocal stems on one track. That's interesting. All right, well, what do you think? Do you have any additional questions or comments or things you want me to take a peek at? And while you type that, I'm going to go pee real quick. I'll be right back. All right, I am back. Where are we? I think that should be about it. Some of the feedback, no, some of the feedback was really informative, and it definitely something I'll keep in mind for the future music work. Yeah, it kind of would have been cool if I was able to open the FL Studio, but also it's kind of nice to just look at things from a different perspective, right? Because you as the remixer, I'm gonna call you a producer in this point because you did more producing than remixing in this case. I'd say you did more. This is more of a producer cover than a remix almost because you redid everything from scratch. You have a different perspective when you are looking at everything granularly as individual tracks than you do when you look at the entire track as a whole, which is kind of part of the mastering process, which is why I like to usually master in a different session than I do my mixing and producing in. I'll take it out, I'll bounce it down, and I'll take it into a fresh session. Or I used to even do it in a different program. I used to do it in Ozone itself, but now I have a much more involved mastering chain now, so I have to do it in Logic. But I just like changing my scenario and my mindset of like, okay, I'm looking at this track now as a whole. Again, just a different ways of looking at things. I'm back. Welcome back. Yes, indeed. Welcome back. Would love to see you mixing live every now and then. Yeah, that could be cool. I've done live mixes in the past, but I think it's pretty difficult, honestly, for me to stream and mix. Some people can do it. But I think there's kind of a reason it's not a very common stream because I don't know, just the part of the brain it takes when I mix, I kind of have to be completely undistracted and totally focused, right? So if I did live mix streams, it'd probably just me be sitting there quietly and messing with things and not saying anything, and I don't think that's very entertaining for other people. But I don't know, maybe I'll do it sometimes. I've done composition streams and mixing streams. Tuning and timing streams would be fine because that's not a very focus requiring task, right? You can kind of half pay attention to tuning and timing and just do everything in one project. Yeah, try that sometime. Try when you're done, but don't master in the session. Try bouncing it out as your stereo WAV file, and then starting a new project with just that stereo WAV file in it and nothing else, and then do your mastering chain there, right? And it just puts yourself in a different environment. And sometimes when I do that, I'll notice things in the mix that I didn't notice before, and then I'll go back. I'll be like, oh, I'll be trying to fix it in the master, and I'll be like, I need more of the snare or whatever, or this frequency, and I'll be like, well, okay, I'm actually gonna stop, go back to my mix, open it again, make the changes there, bounce it again. Like things like that kind of pop out a little bit for me more, honestly, when I do it that way. I do understand why people do it separately though, since if you're working on a whole bounce project, it frees up a variety of tendencies. Yeah, and it also frees up CPU usage. Like a live commentary on why you're doing this and why you're that, but prepared all the stuff already, including moving things, track volumes, and bouncing. I could do mixed breakdowns. I could definitely do mixed breakdowns of previous mixes. I would need to get permission, I think. I wouldn't need to, but I would want to get permission from the people I mixed just to be like, hey, can I show your raw vocals on stream? But I could definitely do breakdowns. I've done those before too. But yeah, thank you for submitting. If you have anything else you want to kind of bring up, I'll bring up. Here we go. I'm pulling Laffy's in right now. Create new track. And then there we are. I would volunteer my vocal runs, do one if we do the duet. Well, we're going to duet this year, whether you like it or not. So we have Laffy here. I believe you were probably like submission 4. No. 5, 6, 7, 8. You were 8. I was totally wrong. Laffy, Senor Laugh-A-Lot. Hey Trick, how's it going? I worked on the vocal and mixing. You would like me to critique the mixing. We have the files here. This is my first cover and mixing, so I have no idea what I'm doing. All right, valid. Any advice would be help me greatly to guide me in the right direction. All right. So we have a, what do we have? We have a instrumental, we have a full mix, and we have a main vocal. Is the main vocals the raw? Or is it mixed down? I guess I can check real quick.
This how I get quiet when
They
there's
sound mixed.
else around me and you and
How did you screencast Logic Pro X to stream? Just in OBS. I have a display capture. I have to have it capture my entire window though, because if I do a window capture or an application capture, because in audio programs effects are different windows, right? So if I didn't do a display capture, none of these, like, the effects would be invisible. You'd only be able to see the effect. So I have to just capture the whole display, which is a bummer because I don't like doing it that way. But that's how I have to do it with Logic. And also, it just works also now. Like Logic, for whatever reason, when I updated to the newest version of Apple, Logic the audio just goes into OBS now. And they've added, if you can, yeah, you can see the top of my screen. They've added like a screen thing, this thing up here, which Mac on OBS. You're using Mac as a display. I'm using Mac, just Mac. I just have a Mac playing and that's it. Like I have a Mac with Logic open and OBS open. And then I have a second monitor to my left with OBS in it. And then Logic's on my main monitor. And I used to have to use some weird product program called iShowU Instant, which there's other options to do like a virtual cable to make Logic play into OBS. But now it honestly just works. Like the newest version of Apple, I don't know if they did this with OBS in mind, but it literally just works and it's incredible because it used to be such a pain in the butt to get Logic to work. And now it just does. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and do a full listen of this. The full cover, I assume, is the fully mixed one. So we're going to go ahead and give that a listen. Yeah, here we go. From the start though. Let's take from the start.
don't you notice how I get quiet when there's no one else around me and you and awkward silence. Don't you dare look at me that way. I don't need reminders of how you don't feel the same. For the burning pain, listen to you hop about some new soulmate. She's so perfect, blah blah blah. Oh, how I wish you wake up one day, run to me, confess your love, at least just let me say that when I talk to you, a Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start? What's a girl to do? Lying on my bed, staring into the blue. Unrequited, terrifying love is driving me a bit insane. Have to get this off my chest. I'm telling you today that when I talk to you, a Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I
All right, what do we think? Also, do you notice how my eye tracking, unrelated, how my eyes are just constantly like shaking? I don't know why that is. Maybe because my phone is cracked and it's messed up. But yeah, that was sent the raw vocals. No, I don't need the raw vocals. I'll just fix what you got. Yeah, that was really nice.
Reminders of how you don't feel the same.
You've got some good good instincts with your volume leveling. I think the volume's sitting really nicely with the instrumental.
For the burning page, listen to you hop about some new song.
Yeah, I think your strength here is your use of your volume balancing is nice.
SWB audio
Is well
capture.
done. Your EQ
not
needs a little bit
registered.
of TLC, but that's like definitely just one of those things that comes with practice.
Hop about some new song.
Oh, these aren't synced. Oh no, they are synced. What? You know, that should be right there. Wait, why is these not synced?
All this time. Don't you know?
That should be here, right?
Don't you know this time? I ain't crying. Don't you know? Don't you know
There we go.
this time?
That's a little off still.
I ain't crying when there's no one else around. Me and you and awkward silence.
That should be right there.
Don't you dare look at me that way.
Actually, I'm just gonna do the whole thing.
I don't need reminders of how you don't feel the same.
So I'm gonna just do a quick little EQ of your. I'm gonna treat it like a mastering EQ. I'll just do a quick little EQ of the whole thing, and then I will turn it off and on again so you can compare. Just to give you an example of how like I would approach the EQ on this.
Listen to you hop about some new soulmate. She's a perfect blah blah blah. I wish you wake up one day, run to me, confess your love, at least just let me say that when I talk to you, I Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart, and I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I love
SWB
you
audio
from the
capture.
start.
Not registered.
Listen to you hop about some new soulmate. She's a perfect blah blah blah. Oh, I wish you wake up one day, run to me, confess your love, at least just let me say Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you
All right, so that's at least a start. Let's see, what were people saying? You have auto person thing, audio capture. Yeah. Also note to self, if you send another thing in the future, bounce the relevant tracks to separate stems. You can. I might not open them all as stems, but you certainly can. But here's just a quick start EQ of what I did. So this right here is just a console emulator that I just threw it in. I took the compressor out because I didn't really want it right now. And because I just wanted to use the EQ basically. So we've got a little bit of a slight high pass filter I think is going on right now, or a low pass filter, and then a little low pass high pass filter, which we don't care about right now. And then again here, I think these are, so this is just cutting, this is cutting everything above 20,000 hertz or 20 kilohertz, which is the range of human hearing, which again, I don't know, we just have it here because why not? And then this is cutting the lows out below 36. I'm actually going to boost that up to 40. Just getting rid of some of the mud. Again, we don't care about it. That would mostly be stuff like the sound of cars on the street outside, right? Or like the sound of rumble. So you want to cut, I don't know if you already know this. You probably have heard of this before if you've like watched YouTube mixing tutorials, but you want to cut lows out, especially in vocals. You can get rid of all this stuff, right? There's not really anything living here in the vocals. Actually, I will show you exactly what I'm talking about.
so perfect, blah, blah, blah.
Which actually looks like you might have done that already. Because there's nothing here.
Run to me, confess
There's a
your
little bit
love,
there.
at least just let me say that when I talk to you, I cue.
So first thing I noticed when I was listening to this vocal was it was very 1K heavy sounding, 1 kilohertz, and it sounds very like radio effect almost-y,
You wake up
right?
one day,
It's got a lot right here,
run to me, confess your love, at least
and it's
just
missing a lot of high end, right? Its high end's kind of naked,
so mad. She's so perfect,
so
blah,
it wants a
blah,
little
blah.
it wants a little 8K because it needs just a little more clarity.
I wish you
Also, it's missing some kind of around here.
SWB audio capture, not
run
registered.
to me, confess your love, at least just let me say that when I talk
And a little
to
here.
you, a Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart.
So even just with these little things, so what I've done is I've given it a little more presence, like with a little more like body to it right here, and then I've given it a little more clarity right here. So just with these small changes here.
Oh, so mad. She's so perfect.
You see it's kind of dull and like a little washed out.
You wake up one day.
Now it just feels a little
Run to me,
more body to it.
confess your love, at least just let me say that when I talk to you, a Cupid walks right through and
And that's what I did on this here as well. So I took everything out that I did, and then I'm gonna turn it all on.
she's so
So here's with nothing.
blah, blah, blah.
And then I'm about to enable everything right
You
now.
wake up one day, run to me, confess your love, at least just let me say that when I
So the vocals now just really up front and really just pushing forward and just like nice and clear. It's a little too clear in how I have it, but it's the vocals really love to shine around here, 6 and 8K, depending on your vocal range, but
talk to you,
See, it's a lot
Cupid
brighter.
walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart.
a little too bright
And I
right here.
sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start.
Not registered.
So here's with everything out. And also a little OTT here. OTT is basically just like an audio cheat code. It's free. It's a multi-band compressor. It just makes things sound good. Not all the time. People overuse it, but in this case, it sounds quite nice. So I'll turn off the EQ and let you just hear the OTT.
My bed staring into the blue.
OTT is really good at gluing things together, right?
On my quiet, terrifying
And then taking it out,
driving me up
and then putting it back in.
Have to get this off my chest, I'm telling you today.
So what I did was I put it down to the depth to 16%. This is usually where I keep OTT around, usually under 25% and above 15%, somewhere around here. 16 sounded fine to me here. And then I used the mid to just boost a bit of the body. I usually get rid of a lot of the upward because the more downward you have, it means the more loud sounds it's squishing down, and the more upward you have, it means the more quiet sounds it's increasing the volume of, which I will show you an example of right here. So I have the upward really high, and you can hear the guitar a lot more. If I turn the downward down, I think it'll be less of that. See, it's a little bit loud. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's louder when I have the upward up. Which I don't really want my quiet sounds to be boosted. Sometimes you do. I don't really want them in this case. I'm more interested in the loud sounds getting squished than the quiet sounds getting boosted.
SWB audio capture,
Get
not
me
registered.
that way. I don't need reminders of how you don't feel the same. For the burn.
And then I'm gonna do another EQ, and I'm gonna disable the console emulation right here, this one, because you probably don't have that, and I'm just gonna use the basic EQ so you can I'm gonna use tools that are available to everybody, right? To do what I was doing.
Listen to you hop up
So yeah, I wanted more 8K.
so mad. She's so perfect, blah,
There's kind of a lot of mud down here that I don't want.
You wake up one day, run to me, confess your love, at least just let me say that when I talk to you, a Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start. Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start.
So as you can see, I have a little mountain range here in the high frequency because it's really missing a lot of those high frequencies. So I boosted the 8K, and then I've kind of gradually I'll take out the yellow one real quick so you can see. So I have a slight boost here with just of everything up here, and then I have a cut on the really high frequencies. And then I really wanted a lot of 8K, so I did 5.5 decibels of boost around 8K, which is quite a lot. And then I wanted I wanted to kind of even out. I didn't want it to be an abrupt just like there, so I added a little bit of 3K and then widened the curve so it's boosting some of the neighboring frequencies.
SWB
I
audio
didn't want it to go
capture,
too far
not
into the 2K
registered.
range, the lower 2K range, because I didn't really like how that was sounding. And then I liked a bit of this little 4K here, so I put a slight hill right here. And then I got rid of this because there's a lot of bass kind of just mud here.
Just I'm telling you today that when I talk to you, a Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And I sound like a loon, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start. Confess you, a Cupid.
And there's a little bit of it's a little harsh now.
But
Like I would want to massage this EQ a lot more, spend like a couple hours on it, and like really nail it down. I'm gonna try and get rid of some of the harshness that we've introduced now with Soothe.
wake up one day, run to me, confess your love, and least just let me say that when I talk to you, a Cupid walks right through and shoots an arrow through my heart. And that's all I got, but don't you feel it to confess I loved you from the start?
So what this is doing right here, this is this isn't an EQ. It kind of works like an EQ, but it takes out overtones specifically and
SWB
harmonics.
audio capture, not
So right now I
registered.
have it outputting just what it's cutting. So this, what you hear right now is what it's getting rid of. I'll boost it up so you can kind of hear. Its Soothe is really good at pulling out frequencies introduced by lesser quality like recording scenarios, like Not a Great Room, Not a Great Mic, and just pulling those frequencies out in a really pleasing way. And in a really subtle way as well. Like you probably won't even really be able to hear this through YouTube's compression, but it is doing something, I promise. So here's it with Soothe, and then without. It sounds a little more like, there's almost a bit of like a that it's cutting out. So I'll play it a little bit longer and then cut it out. And then cutting it out. And back in. So there's almost like a effect to the voice that it's kind of getting rid of. Not like a background noise. I know that sounds like what I'm doing, but like a harmonic in the voice that sounds like that, right? Send you a beefy super chat so you can register that. Send you a beat so you can register SWB? What's SWB? Adding layers is definitely my weakness. Yeah, honestly, you could just try singing the song multiple times and even just like messing with panning and layering and see how that sounds. A weird robot voice talking about an audio capture issue. Oh, it's because I touched.
SWB audio
I don't even
capture,
have audio
not
capture. I'm not
registered.
even using audio capture. What? Why is it talking about that? Oh, it's because I unmuted it accidentally earlier. Was it doing that for too long? It probably just did it a few times. So that was what that was. I need to get rid of that track. I had this guy unmuted on accident because I accidentally unmuted it earlier. This was my old what I used to have to do to make Logic play was I'd have to use SWB audio capture, and now I don't have to. Yeah, that's like an old legacy thing of how I had to use to stream. And it's talking because I didn't have the SWB audio capture open, which is this program right here. Oh, you can't see it, the chat's in the way. If I had that program opened, it would have done it because it thought I didn't have a license, even though I do. But I don't need that freaking stupid ass program anymore. How do I get rid of it? I'll get rid of it later. How do I change the name of it? I don't even know where it is. I don't even see it on my layers list. Well, I'm going to right click it and hit hide. Bye-bye. It's hidden. It's still there, but it's hidden.
Some you, some me. She's so perfect, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I wish you wake up one day. Run to me, confess your love, and please just let me say.
Yeah, so I think a really good start with the mixing, your gain kind of levels are nice. You are sitting really nicely with the instrumental.
Some you, some me.
Like, it's a vibe. They're vibing really well together. I think the vocals just need a little more energy and a little more cut through the mix because they're sitting with the instrumentals a little too good.
She's so perfect, blah, blah, blah.
And I just want a little more.
You wake up one day.
it comes to mixing, the main thing is EQ. Now, it's not the main thing, but to me, it's EQ is like your bread and butter. It's your knife and fork. It's your most versatile and most important and most essential tool, in my opinion. I mean, compressors and reverbs and delays are, and everything else is all equally important. But EQ it's the first thing I do, it's the middle thing I do, and it's the last thing I do. When I'm doing a mix, I am constantly working on the EQ. Even when working on other programs, I'll usually do a full mix down with all the EQs. I'll set all the EQ levels. Then I'll come back and I'll start adding other effects, compressors, reverbs. Sometimes I'll just throw a compressor in there ahead of time just to get the levels where they need to be. But I will constantly be revisiting the EQ over and over and over again. Because it's like, EQ is also kind of like your personality as a mixer, I feel like. All the creative effects are the flashy things, but the EQ is your voice as a mixer, right? And it's the thing, I mean, I'm not sure if everyone agrees with that, but I think that's probably not a very controversial statement to say, right? That EQ is your voice as a mixer. And like you notice, I'm using different plugins to EQ, right? This is my main EQ, which is just a Logic basic EQ, the parametric. It's very easy to use. Most audio plugins, or most digital audio workstations have some version of this. And if they don't, then you can get FabFilter Pro Q, which is like the super duper industry standard one that literally everybody uses. I'll pull it up real quick. I don't have it, but I'll pull up a picture. Yeah, this is what everybody uses, but it's really expensive. But if you want to spend a lot of money on the industry standard EQ, here it is. It's like $200 or something. How much is it? Shop. For the bundle. $169. That's not actually that bad. It's worth it if you don't have a good EQ. But I'm fine with my EQ. I don't need to spend $170 on an EQ right now. EQing your own vocals, it's hard. Mixing yourself is difficult, but it's one of those things you practice and it gets easier. Also, like knowing when to cut and when to boost. I did a lot of boosting in this because I thought there was a lot of frequencies that were kind of cut out and were missing. So yeah, I did pretty much mostly boosts. Some engineers will say, oh, you should EQ subtractively. You should always take stuff out. But hey, like I said, EQ is my voice and I'm going to do it how I want to do it. And I think that's important, is to not be afraid to EQ. Like these are some pretty aggressive EQs, right? You know, 3 decibel. Well, they're not that aggressive actually, but don't be afraid to just start carving your voice up, right? Carve it like a turkey. $200 for just an EQ. Honestly, I don't think it's overpriced for what it is, honestly. I don't want to spend the money on it right now, but I think it's worth it if you need an EQ. I always don't touch EQ too much since I'm unfamiliar with it. So this is my number 1 tip for mixers that are beginning mixers. Don't be afraid of your programs. Pull your EQ up and just start chopping stuff, right? And if you're really not comfortable with EQ, see if your program has a graphic EQ. I'll pull up one right now. So this is a graphic EQ. And these are like the most beginner-friendly EQs you can do because they have, so up here's the frequencies that they're tuned to, right? So this channel is 31, 63, 125, 250, 500, 1K, etc., 2K. And these are like common frequencies that you're going to be messing with in EQs. And these are the gain of those frequencies, right? So this is super easy to use, right? And just, here, I'll mute everything else. Go through here and just start messing with stuff. Like, does it sound good if I put this up? How does this sound? How does this sound? How does this sound? How does this sound? that doesn't sound very good, but
Run to me, confess your love, and this just let
it
me
is
say
it's more clear.
that when I talk to you, I Cupid.
And just start messing with it. Like, again, if you want a practice tool, graphic EQs are the way to go. I don't like graphic EQs because they don't give me enough control. Because you can't really determine what frequencies you're messing with, and it doesn't give you too many levels. But this is like the beginner EQ graphic. And then from there, move on to parametric, which this is a parametric here, which is like the digital EQ. And they give you total control to really mess with stuff. You can do whatever you want. There's more advanced things down here even that most EQs have. Like you can EQ only the left channel, only the right channel. You can try and EQ only the middle, only the sides, or stereo, which is the default for most of these things. There's different things you can do. Like there's a guideline to follow you. Okay, so here's the thing about learning production from YouTube. There are a lot of people out there that are more content creators than they are actual producers, and they will tell you how to do things, and they will tell you that there is a right way to do things and that there are standards that you should follow. And for me, that's always kind of a red flag. Like there are certain things like, oh, like cutting below 40 hertz, right? Yeah, that is a standard because there's the human voice doesn't have any frequencies down there anyway. So it's like, yeah, okay, that's a standard. But if somebody's telling me like, this is how you should do this, for me, that's a red flag. And it's kind of a common thing in the producer kind of like private discords and stuff of people saying like, oh, this is some content creator like drivel where they're just like, you need to do this and your mix will be magical and it will work every time, and this is how you make your vocals sound like Adele, and like you just do this and you buy this program that costs $120, here's my affiliate link. It's important to remember that mixing is an art, not and it's a science too, but it's more of an art than a science, right? So you can just do stuff, and like if your stuff doesn't sound like how anybody else has it, that's fine because it's your stuff, right? In the same way that if you're composing, it doesn't matter if you sound like John Williams, if you're like writing orchestral. What matters is if you sound like you, unless you're trying to sound like John Williams, right? But John Williams already is John Williams, and you're not going to John Williams better than John Williams can John Williams, right? But you can you better than John Williams could you, right? That makes sense, right? And you have to remember to apply that to mixing as well, and remember that mixing is also an art form, right? So it's because it's like, I can mix the Zephy way of mixing better than you can mix the Zephy way of mixing, but you can mix your way of mixing better than I can mix your way of mixing. So, which is all just a long way of saying, don't be afraid to use tools, right? Just get in there and just start wrecking stuff, right? Make a save as of your program, of your session, and then just like go in the EQ and go wild, right? And then save as again and reset it and try again. And then you can go to your different versions and be like, oh, this sounded bad. Why did this sound bad? Oh, this sounded good. What did I do here that sounded good? Or this element of this version that I did sounded good. So just try just like doing, like, again, like I said, doing multiple versions of the same mix even, especially if you're a beginner. Pull up your EQ, set the EQ, go back to how it was originally. The next day, come back, EQ it again from scratch, and then compare the two and think what this worked, this didn't work, right? And just just start messing with stuff and getting your feet in there. Again, graphic EQ is a great place to start, and then from there on, you can graduate to parametric EQs, which are going to be the most useful, most versatile, most common EQ that we see now in the digital world. But there's also a bunch of other types of EQ that are worth doing. Like this one here is this is an EQ which is in the style of of a Focusrite console. It's a little more daunting to look at, and you know, this is not super beginner friendly, but it's not that complex once you really get into it and once you learn. Like, I wouldn't recommend jumping into this right away. but I would recommend jumping into this, right? Because this is a lot more simple. You're basically drawing, right? But there's effects of each that are useful, and like the vintage Logic has a vintage console EQ, which is this is like a stripped down version of this one, right? This is like, and this is emulating a different console too, right? But if you took just this section, these two sections right here, and spit them into here, that's kind of what this is, right? Here's the gain, here's the frequency. Same thing here. Here's the frequency, or no, here's the gain, and here's the frequency, right? Same knobs. Gain, frequency, gain, frequency. This one has a couple extra things. This is a mute of that, just that band. This is a ×3. It toggles onto this level of the frequency, right? So if I have it here, it's at 6 hertz or 6,000 hertz, and if I hit this, it's now at 18,000, right? It's just toggling if you want. And then this is how wide it is. This button is the same button as, see how if I do this, it makes this wider. This is the same. This is doing the same thing, right? And then this control is doing the same thing as this, left to right. This control is doing the same thing as this, up and down. Right? So you don't have the visual of what you're doing, so it's a little more less beginner friendly, because you got to imagine what's going on and really use your ears. But that's kind of a good thing sometimes, which is why I kind of like using these types of EQs, because sometimes when I will look at this EQ, I'll be like, oh, I want more 1 kilohertz, and I'll go straight to that, and I'll put my cursor here. But sometimes it's better to just use your ears, right? And like not really pay attention to where, like, I won't even read these numbers, which I kind of like that they're small, and I'll just kind of close my eyes and just mess with it and be like, this sounds good, this doesn't sound good. And again, this is a common kind of EQ thing that everybody does, is you boost it and you find what you're looking for, and then from there on you can either cut it or boost it less, right? Or you can cut it all out. Right? So like with these kind of EQs, that's a good way of learning them, is you boost it all the way or cut it all the way, and then mess with the frequencies to hear it. So you can very clearly hear what it's doing. And then from then, like maybe you're like, well, I want a little more of this, right?
What's a girl to do?
And then, yeah, like the world of EQs is, there's all kinds of stuff. Like, let me pull up another one that I like. So here's Black EQ, which this is popped into my other monitor. This is a really warm, another emulation EQ, which I use this on like romantic kind of like intimate ballads and stuff, right? And it just has a different kind of color to it. Like it's really warm. See, it's just different. They're different characters, different colors. But yeah, EQ. And also the order you put your EQs matters, but that's another thing. But yeah, just mess with them. Start cutting, start playing, start having fun. Just like there's the world of EQs, there's all kinds of different, that's a compressor. There's all kinds of different things. But there are other things too that you can get kind of on that topic. Like this is a multi-band compressor, which I'm not going to get into the nuances of it because it's pretty complicated, but I'm using it essentially like almost like an EQ kind of, and it will if I mess with it, you can kind of hear, I'm bringing out and cutting different frequencies, right? It's doing it in a different way that an EQ would, but I'm using this tool in the same way I would use an EQ. So it's like there's multi-band compressors as a different frequency tool. Here's another. I'll bring up another multi-band compressor. Here's Logic's multi-band compressor. Again, not super accessible if you don't know what it's doing, but again, I'm just kind of using it to massage the frequencies. What else can you use for frequency? Soothe, again, I had Soothe up earlier, another example. This is like an EQ, but not. Soothe is very expensive though, so Soothe is like $200 or something. How much is Soothe? Soothe 2. Soothe is wonderful though, if you can get it. It's $200 for something. Yeah, it's $209, and it's really subtle in what it does. So it's not for everybody. Just because it's like I'm gonna spend all this money on something that I can barely hear, but I love it. I think it's really worth it. So yeah, I think yeah, you're getting into the world of audio plugins. Like, good luck. Everything costs money. And there's infinite plugins, right? Like to do whatever. Like this can make things sound like they're like retro.
For the burning pain, listen to you hop about some news on me. She's so perfect, blah blah blah. Oh,
Right. Make it sound like it's an old record. What else? OTT we have emulators of different famous program or hardware. This is the emulator of LA2A compressor. This is like, I don't know, this thing's pretty expensive. This is like $100 or something just for this, I think. Tone Empire, we had that EQ up for a lot of stuff I don't use. I should remove a lot of this. Fresh Air, this adds harmonic frequencies. Fresh Air is a really common one. The two probably most popular things that a lot of people use are OTT, because it's free and amazing. If you don't have OTT in your mixing, it's like a free cheat code, honestly. It just makes things sound good. And Fresh Air, a lot of people use. It adds high frequency harmonics. I should probably get rid of that. So it just adds a lot of high pitch, kind of, it adds kind of grit, almost a little high pitched grit. So you'll hear it a lot in the cymbals. It's using saturation kind of to distort the high frequencies in order to add more overtones that don't exist, if that makes sense. All kinds of stuff. There's, different compressors. Here's the one I use a lot. I'm just doing a show and tell right now. What else do I use a lot? Elysia Character is another saturator. Again, it just distorts things in a pleasing way. Right? Which sounds like ass, but you mix it in. And sometimes it's really nice to have.
What's a girl to do? Lying on my bed, staring into the blue. Unrequited, terrified.
Like if you just want a little grit, I wouldn't use it on this song, but what else? Alpha Compressor. I'm still learning Alpha Compressor. Oh wait, that's a baby version. Let's pull up the big version. Alpha where's Alpha? Am I blind? Is it master? Oh yeah, it is. I'm still learning this. It's a little confusing. It's a compressor. Yeah, I need to spend more time on this guy. I do not feel comfortable with it. What else do I have? Master Deck. I use this for mastering sometimes. I like it a lot. The Focusrite console I had earlier. I don't use any of these. Some of these are demos too, like Streamliner. I would like to have Streamliner. All this does is analyze your your frequencies and stuff, but it's also like $100 just to say like too loud. So it's like, I don't know. I would spend like $50 on that. Like, how much does it cost? Like, it's cool because it gives you a lot of data. You can kind of see it. It's $200. Yeah, fucking man, no way. $200 for an effect that doesn't actually do anything. It just monitors. I want it, but I'm not gonna spend $200 on it. What else? Soothe we looked at. Kickstart, no, we're not gonna use any of this. Ozone is a good thing. That RX is a good thing. It's a tool to just fix things that are messed up, right? RX is like if you have a lot of like hiss in your room, like background noise, RX is the best tool to fixing that pretty much. It's like the standard. Let's see if you have any actually to demonstrate. No, actually, you did a pretty good job of cutting
What's
it
a
out.
girl done? So mad.
Yeah, you actually have
She's
like
so perfect,
no.
blah blah blah.
You have like very little room noise in your mix. I don't know if that's because you cut it all out with EQ or if you just have like a kind of a quiet room that you recorded in. But if you were cutting it out with EQ, something like RX is a better option if it's like pretty severe with their No, this isn't the right one. Where is it? Denoise. Do I have 10 or 8? I don't actually know what I have, but yeah, this one's a good one. What it'll do is you can play a section of silence in your song and have it learn the frequency of that. And I can't really demonstrate on yours because you don't have a whole lot.
Thinking of you, you know.
I wonder if I can. My computer's kind of lagging now. Well, I won't demonstrate right now because again, I'm kind of lagging. It's good at cutting out stuff. This is the reverb I usually use. Oh, this is a fun one. I use this more for producing. I don't really use this on mixing, but I've used it on mixing before. I think I used it on the Rin Penrose Yona Yona dance mix, I think.
Lying on my best
Where you can do stuff like this.
all my quiet
And it's different kind of profiles.
inside.
If you want to like prepare for a drop.
When I talk to you, what you feel through what you said. And so good, but don't you feel it? Confess I you promised. Confess.
Yeah, this thing it's kind of designed for like EDM like drops and stuff, but it's pretty cool actually, and it's not that expensive, I don't think. Endless Smile. It's like $50, $20. What is it? It's a good little plugin. I like it. Plugin shop. What else is that? I should look at the other stuff. Sausage Fattener is their famous one. I think that's in FL Studio. It is. You can buy all of their plugins for $89, or you could get a bunch of them for. You can get Endless Smile and Sausage Fattener for $60. You can get Endless Smile for $39. That's not bad. $39 for that plugin, and they go on sale. I would just wait till they go on sale if you like them. recommend for reverb for beginners. The industry standard for reverb is Valhalla. But you can just use whatever reverb your program has in it. I don't what digital audio workstation are you using? Because your DAW probably has a good reverb, honestly. But these are the industry standard. Valhalla Room and Valhalla probably, yeah, Room and Plate are probably the most Vintage is pretty well used though too. But these are cheap. They're $50 per. For vocals, I would get either Room or Plate if you wanted to get one. And again, these are the industry standards. Literally everybody uses these. I don't have them because I have another one that I like, and because I'm kind of trying to be a hipster, or at least I'm pretending to be one. I'm not gonna use the one that everyone uses. I'm gonna use my freaking orchestral reverb because I'm paying for it already. But they're good. Valhalla's really good. But your Ableton will have a reverb, and I don't know if you know how to reverb. Again, this is getting into the territory of like there's no right way to do it, but I would recommend the standard way of doing reverb, whereby you put a reverb on an aux track. I don't know if you know how to do this, and then you send it. You don't put the reverb on your main track, right? You don't put it on as an effect. You bus it with a bus to an aux. Because that way you can do things like you can bus multiple different tracks to the same reverb to make it sound like they're all in the same space. You can automate the reverb more easily that way. And it's just kind of an easier way of dealing with reverb, right? You can have the same reverb for everything and then be granular about the amount of each instrument that's going to the reverb, right? Which is why you do it this way. So yeah. I think I'm gonna wrap it up here though, because it's like almost 8:30 and it's a work night, and I gotta get up at like 6 in the morning and go to work, and I still have to shower and everything. What's an industry standard? Yeah, just use Fruity. Like, again, the thing about digital audio workstations now is they all have everything, right? They have a good reverbs, they have good everything. Yeah. So just use what your program has. OX. What did I say? What did I say OX about? Oh, aux. AAUX. Aux as an auxiliary. So if you you can't see because it's blocked, but this channel right here, I'll bring up the mixer. So these channels here are auxiliary channels, which is you can't put audio on them, right? If you notice, I have 3 tracks in my space here. Let me close this. I have 3 tracks here, but I have way more than 3 tracks here, and that's because these last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are all auxiliary tracks, which are just routings. They're like little they're like plugging one track into another track. It's kind of hard to explain them. Whereas like these are your audio tracks where you put audio onto them, you put effects on them. And then auxiliary tracks, what I do is so this track has an output, a stereo output, which is going to the master stereo output. And if I put a bus on it, it means I'm taking a separate output. So it's like it has one output and then I have a separate one and I'm sending it somewhere else, right? So by default, this fader, the main fader for the track, is going to the output of the entire song, right? And what I'm doing with this here, this little, can I make it bigger? No, I can't. You can see it though. This little tiny fader is sending it parallel to this track here, right? So now I have this track outputting to 2 places. I have it outputting to the master, and I have it outputting to this aux track. And then what that does is it means I can put parallel processing, parallel effects onto this channel, which will affect the signal output of this channel without affecting the raw output of this channel, right? So what that's good for with reverb is you have a version of it that's raw, and you have a version of it that's the affected one, right? So yeah. My computer is also starting to be laggy and weird. Like my chat is not updating. I see some of the chat's going through on my comments here on the screen, and some of it's not going through the comments on the actual chat bar. Oh, now here they are. Now they've caught up. So yeah, thank you for coming to the stream tonight. We will be doing more of these semi-regularly. I need to get a just chatting screen for my outro. I have a just chatting screen. I just gotta set it up. But yeah, thank you for coming. I have been and remain to be Zephy Sonus, but you can call me Zephy. It's been an honor to meet you and to spend time with you, and I appreciate you for joining me. If you enjoy my streams, consider subscribing or joining me next time. I do music and variety content, sometimes play games. That's pretty rare though. And I'm going to start building Gunpla again at some point. That's what I used to do. Hand cam Gunpla streams, but I need to get back into doing that because it's been like almost a year probably since maybe not that long, but like probably 8 months since I built a Gunpla. And I have like 26 of them in boxes stacked under my desk. So yeah, thank you for coming by, and I hope you all have a lovely, lovely evening and a lovely rest of your week. Until next time, maybe we'll do this again next week, the same stream, because I have still got more submissions to go through. But yeah, have a good night.